Welcome back to 10 News at 5. I'm Beth Haynes. Last week, the Federal Communications Commission voted to approve a preliminary proposal that would do away with net neutrality, or the idea that everything on the internet is delivered with the same priority and speed. The change would create so-called internet fast lanes that would allow service providers to change companies more in exchange for delivery content to customers at faster speeds. For more on this topic, we're joined by our tech expert, Dan Thompson from Claris Networks. Really appreciate you being with us. We hear this term net neutrality. Most of us, in fact, never heard of it until the last couple of weeks before this FCC discussion. So what exactly are we talking about when we hear net neutrality?
Sure. So you actually described it quite well just a second ago. Net neutrality is just this sort of idea that the internet should be free. We should have as few regulations on it as possible within legal means, and just that everybody should get a fair shake at the internet bandwidth that's available. And to kind of break that down just a little bit so that people can understand it. So when I say bandwidth, if we think of a highway, right, just a two-lane highway, bandwidth is the number of cars that I can fit on that highway at any given time. So that's what we're talking about. So if we're not adding lanes, which we're not with the internet, there's a fixed bandwidth there. So net neutrality says that any driver in any lane gets a fair shake at any other lane, and they can drive as fast as they want to. What the FCC's new rules are starting to push towards is saying, okay, one of those lanes should be dedicated to video top traffic, and then everybody else should get a fair shake at the other lanes. Where we start to see a problem, though, is if there's congestion. If thinking to the highway example, somebody's going to go fast and somebody's going to go slow.
Why is the FCC getting involved, and why are they pushing for this change?
So a couple of reasons. FCC made a ruling a while back. The Supreme Court ended up overturning that, basically nullifying all of their rules, and so they've been left with this position of saying, okay, well, we need to do something just to kind of shore things up. Comcast and other service providers are beginning to charge companies like Netflix and YouTube, saying that, hey, if you pay us a premium fee, we'll make sure that your service is delivered in a fair way. So the reason why it matters for video is dependent on fast, smooth lanes through the internet. So otherwise you end up with these jerky sort of videos that start and stop, kind of like what we're used to. It is very frustrating. So what they're trying to do, cable providers, what they're trying to do is ensure that that service is always good.
So how is the FCC proposal going to change the net neutrality?
Well,
do we know exactly?
It's a good question, because what the gentleman over the FCC has put forward is not technically possible. And let me explain that. So he said that we cannot slow web pages down, but we can allow companies to sell fast lane through the internet. So it is a contradiction in and of itself, because if something's going to go faster, something must go slower. And then I should highlight here, this is only in times of congestion. So, again, rush hour traffic time, basically everybody's got to move over into the slow lane and let the fast guys go through. So it is technically not possible. What they end up on, we'll have to wait and see.
How will this affect you and me, average Joe, out there?
Well, so that's a great question, and we're the ones actually that get left with all the garbage here, because the last mile, which is what we refer to, basically the phone pole at the street to your house, that's basically the last mile, you can't really subdivide that up. So if content providers are promising Netflix that I will deliver quickly to the home Netflix content, well, stuff's got to suffer. So, again, we'll have to wait and see, because a lot of this is theoretical. But there is the possibility, and they're setting the framework so that other things could slow down.
So it's not a done deal.
It's definitely not a done deal. Yeah, this is just a proposal that the gentleman at the top of the FCC laid out there. It got voted 3-2 to go and move forward. So basically what they're in now is just kind of this investigative and a feedback loop to say, hey, what do you guys think? How can we change this and that sort of thing?
The approval process moving forward, how many votes and how long could that take?
Well, so that's a good question as well. They haven't put just a whole lot of hard timelines on all this stuff. The gentleman, I mean, he keeps giving lots of lip service to, if the public doesn't want this, we'll stop. But it doesn't seem that he's actually motivated that way. And I don't want to get political, but if you looked at how it voted, it was right down party lines. So it it's again, it's another one of those frustrating things. And just a Dan Thompson comment, you've got people who are not technical making technical decisions, and it's frustrating to watch.
Going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Thanks so much for coming on.
No problem.
We appreciate it. We're coming right back after this.